Tonight, I am going to be sharing with you some fun with chickens. My daughter, when she was living in St. Petersburg here in Florida, had urban chickens. So she had a backyard with a fence, and she and her husband had chickens, and they are so cute. She also got herself some specialty types of chickens, and we enjoyed the eggs all the time from the chickens. It was lovely, and now they've moved to Europe. So she and her husband, oh well, I'll be going to visit them probably around my birthday in November. But I not only was inspired by her chickens, but I follow, of course, many people on Instagram, and there's one artist in particular. Hey, Art by Jeffrey, welcome in, welcome in. There's one artist in particular on Instagram that I really enjoy her very loose, sketchy artworks. And the theme for this show being loose watercolor chickens came from some of the work that I saw she was doing in her sketchbook. So she warms up in her sketchbook with these very loose images of all kinds of different things, animals, plants, people. And she's very prolific. And her name is Judy Lynn Lee. So I'm going to hold this up for just a moment. If you want to take a picture, Jody, sorry, not Judy, Jody, Jodilynn Lee, Jody Lynn Lee. This is one of her sketchbook sketches of a bird. And the very interesting thing is, see how it's very loose here, very loose here. She didn't have to color everything. She was checking her colors in her sketchbook. You can see the edge of her sketchbook here. And so I have a couple more samples that are from her Instagram. And so this is another Jody Lynn Lee. And isn't that fun? It's very, when I say sketchy, I mean very sketchy. Here, you don't always have to be realistic or exacting in your proportions, as long as when someone looks at the imagery, are they getting it? Do they get it? Do they know what that is? And to me, this is a goose. So I look at it and I'm like, oh, that's a goose. Partly because of the coloring here and just the shape of the bird. You know that it's a bird when you look at it. And she's only putting in part of the coloration in her sketchbook, right? She's not doing the whole blown out painting there. She's doing her sketches and getting her ideas for her full-size paintings. This one, oh, what a cute duck that is. Or is that also a goose? I think it's a duck. A white duck, yeah, with these big webbed feet. But it could be a goose as well, a white goose. Heck, in my neighborhood, for a couple of weeks a year, I get white pelicans. Did you know there was such a thing as white pelicans? I live near the water, and there are a lot of pelicans, so brown pelicans. But for about 3 weeks out of the year, in a pond near where I live, the white pelicans come in. Who'd have thought, right? So here you see how this is very sketchy in the background. And I know in her sketchbook, you'll see that she will often use pastels. So either dry pastels. Hey, Gabriel Lee Arts, welcome in, welcome in. Often she will use pastels, dry pastels, or oil pastels. So I actually have both of those here. We're going to do some playing around together, and we're going to do a bunch of sketchies, kind of like what she does in her sketchbook, to get loose, get warmed up, and have some fun. So here is the chicken that inspired it all, inspired this show. And you see how, again, very sketchy, but when you look at it, do you know that it's a chicken? Yep, you know it's a chicken. And because there's this little comb on top here, a little tiny beak. And so based on just the general proportions, you know that that is a chicken. And then she just threw a little bit of color in there as she was sketching. Now, based upon her work, I was recently on a business trip and I took some of these pictures with me, like this, from Instagram of her work because I wanted to just practice getting loose. And it's okay to copy people to practice, okay? When you do your final artwork, and that artwork is then going to be a representation of what you do and what you sell, you're going to put your own flavor into it. Your own flavor is going to be, your hand is going to do something different than what the artist is doing that you are practicing from. And so here, what I did was I used this big fat, I like fat graphite pencils. So you're holding it more like a child would hold it, right? You can use a regular graphite pencil. And actually, this is the Forever pencil that I got from Critter Chops. He sent this one to me. And that's on Whatnot, Critter Chops. And so those are two different forms of being able to draw. I happen to like the very chunky pencils, and I like the charcoal to draw with because it gives me big, loose strokes, especially when I'm exploring a subject, and you don't need to be exacting with that. So this was, again, looking at Jody Lynn Lee's Instagram and then finding imagery that I liked and then putting it in my sketchbook just to get a feel for how she puts her, in this case, birds together. I happen to like the birds, and because my daughter had chickens, I loved the chicken. And so this being in my hand doesn't look like hers, but you get the idea, right? That I was practicing. Now, after using her inspiration in my sketchbook here, then I went and I got myself some photographs from royalty-free photographs. We talked about royalty-free photographs before and how when you go to various sites like Pixabay and Unsplash, those are a couple of them that you want to be careful because on the page that comes up, there are images that are not royalty free. There are images that come up that are actually Adobe images or Shutterstock images, and you have to be very careful on that page, that computer screen page, that to be sure that you're looking at the royalty-free images. So, for instance, these are some royalty-free images of chickens that I just printed off. Somewhere I have the picture of my daughter's chickens too, because I would take them when they were looking fun. And but for today, there's another one. Look at that one. She looks very royal. And then there's another one. I like the movement of the feet down here. But these are royalty-free images that I picked up between Pixabay and Unsplash. But like I said, when you're on the page, be careful that you're getting the ones that say royalty free and then what comes underneath that, and not the ones that are in the ads on the page or the banner at the top or bottom of the page. Those are the ones that you have to pay for a commercial license. Okay. Now check this one out. It has this little tuft at the top. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. And so I like to see them looking in different directions and having their feet moving in different ways to make them more fun and interesting for drawing. And then, of course, those are the females. And then here are the roosters. Look at these guys. Wow. With the big comb on them here and the big area underneath here. And so I grabbed 4 of these. This type and this type are the ones that I've seen in Key West. When you go down to Key West, there are a lot of chickens and roosters running around. And that's where our southernmost point is in the United States, right? Down at the tip of Florida. And there are all these chickens and roosters running around. In the morning, you're going to get woken up by a rooster. It's just the way it is when you're in Key West, okay? Because they're all over the place. But the roosters in Key West look more like these roosters here with the big plumage and the beautiful bright colors. So of course, when you're doing your sketching, you don't have to use the colors that these critters come in. You can do whatever color you want, right? Now, another bird that I think has a lot of personality is ducks. So I did print off some ducks, like for instance, this one with his mouth open, quack, right? He's just quacking away. And then that's the male mallard. And then there again is the male mallard. And so I printed off a whole section. Here's your typical white duck right here. But of course, as an artist, you know that nothing's totally white, right? We're going to end up with, see how the bricks, there's a little bit of a yellow orange here. There's some gray in here. So something that appears white or that you would describe as white actually has lots of different colors in it, right? From an artist perspective. It's a challenge. You should try doing something that's just white. And then I don't know what these are called, but aren't they gorgeous? This little guy right here. Oh, what I like is the lines and the separation, the different sections of color. So that makes that kind of a water bird very interesting to me. So using the big graphite pencil here, I took a large piece of paper like this, and this is the picture that was used for the promotion for this workshop. And that was all of these fun chickens and a rooster here, and the duck. So the duck with the open mouth, quack, quack. So when you are exploring a subject, don't worry about it being perfect. The idea is you're exploring, you're experimenting, you're looking at colors, you're looking at materials, you're trying to decide what is going to work for you in your style with a project like this. So here I actually used, after using the this big graphite pencil to do the outlines, I then went in and used watercolor. So I am going to be showing you how to do that. But I don't know if you noticed, there are lines on the paper here because I had sectioned it off. But you know what? Once I got to drawing, I have a little bit of a problem making things small. I tend to like to make them bigger. And so you'll notice that these don't fit into those little blocks right there. But this is experimentation, exploration, and you know what? It doesn't matter. And the paper that I'm using for this, just so that you can see here, this is something that I picked up at one of the big box stores. It is a mixed media paper, but it's a heavy mixed media paper. So what's nice is that this kind of paper, you can draw on it, but you can also hit it with water. So if the paper says it's mixed media, generally mixed media paper will be able to take a small amount of water. If you really want to do the watercolor like I was doing and you want the paper to stay relatively flat, then you're going to want to use a watercolor paper, and I'll be showing you that when we get to the point where we're doing the watercolor. But what we're going to, we are going to start though with doing some loose sketching and using the pastels, the dry pastel, and I actually also have some oil pastels, which are fun. But let me show you what we're going to be doing for the giveaway today. So if you were over, oh, look at there. Hi. Oh my God, I love the pictures behind you. Josie said over on YouTube. Thank you, Josie. I appreciate that. Oh, all right. So if you want to participate in the giveaway and you're over on YouTube, then you need to join us over on Whatnot. So Whatnot is an auction platform, but it's also a platform where we share. There are a lot of artists on Whatnot, jewelry makers, that kind of thing. And so we share ideas with each other. And after I do my art class on Whatnot, then I have a sale of some of the items. Happy Sunday. Yes, Shell Marie. Thank you. Thank you over on Whatnot. So if you are on YouTube and you'd like to participate in the giveaway, that will be going on Whatnot. All you have to do is scan the QR code at the top of the screen with your phone, or go into the description of the video on YouTube, and there should be a link there that will bring you over to Whatnot. Now, if you're new to Whatnot, Whatnot will give you $15 to spend on the platform. So I would love it if you spend it with me, but if you don't, nothing that you see of mine blows your hair back, then go ahead and you're free to, that'll be in your wallet on Whatnot, and you're free to use it anywhere on the platform. Now, for the giveaway, I did a duck and a chicken tonight. So this was that funny duck that had his mouth open, a mallard, right? And I threw a couple of cattails in there because when I lived in Maryland, we had lots of cattails that would be around the water, around the Chesapeake Bay, and we had a lot of those kind of ducks there. And then I also did one with a chicken. So, for the theme for today, is I threw in a watercolor chicken. So these are the two giveaways that we're going to be doing tonight. Now, also on my YouTube channel, I just dropped a video yesterday, and that is a video about what? Chickens with watercolor, because I got some new watercolors this past week, and I swatched them, and then I made a chicken painting. Why not? Because that's the theme for this week, right? And so this painting, which was done with my new Kuretake watercolors that are the subject of the video that's on YouTube. So this is now, it's a 9x12. It's a rooster and a chicken. They're both looking over here. So the name of the painting is What's Over There? What is over there? So these are, this is a painting that is done. It's in the buy now on Whatnot, and it is available to purchase if you're interested in that. Okay, but of course, if you're an artist and you want to play along, we're going to actually do this right now. So I am going to come up over top of the table. Lovely. This has my bona fides for my Instagram, my Facebook, my website. If there are items that we talk about during the workshop, paints, brushes, inks, that kind of thing, there are links to those kind of items on my website under the tab that says supply links, because on Whatnot I sell my finished artwork, but on my website I have links for your convenience to where you can buy some of the paints. For instance, this watercolor set that I will be showing you a little bit later. So there are links to that kind of thing on my website, because I don't sell the paints, I sell my finished artwork. All right. And then if you are on, hey, Shauna Treasures and Art, welcome in, welcome in. If you are on Whatnot and you would like to go over to YouTube, that is my YouTube. So you can just snap a picture of this, but you can check out my YouTube channel. And that is where each week after these workshops are finished, I go back into YouTube under the live tab and I cancel out the sale portion of the show and just leave the workshop up on my YouTube channel. And then I put links again to the items that we talked about, the paints that we use, the papers, and anything else that is relevant to the workshop will be in the YouTube video comments the next day. So like by tomorrow afternoon, I usually go in and update all of that. All right. And if you're on YouTube and you'd like to join us on Whatnot, like I said, all you have to do is use the link in the description of the video. Hey, Shauna's Treasures and Art is, she threw us a Canadian flag, so you must be joining us from Canada. Now on Whatnot, there's this lovely feature called Tips. And on YouTube, if you want to throw me a tip, during the workshop, if you enjoy the workshop, then you can go to coffee.com. So that's ko-fi.com. Hey, Bad Sunshine, welcome in, welcome in. And I'm at Tristina Dietz Art on coffee.com. And in that location, if you're on YouTube, you can throw me a tip there. And after I save the video, I always add that to the end of the video so that if you wanted to go back and rewatch the workshop and then throw me a tip, the information will be in the description on YouTube. And somebody asked on YouTube, are those real AirPods? Yes, they are. They're old too. They don't hold the 4-hour charge like they used to. Oh my gosh. But this way I can have my air conditioning running and stay cool, but you can hear me clearly. Yay. Thank you, Apple. All right, let's move this out of the way. And we are going to start with some pastel paper. And the reason we're starting with pastel paper is we're going to be using some charcoal and these pencils. And this is I love the Hanamula papers. Oh my gosh, they are such good quality paper. I mean, this company's been around, I think it's 700 years or so, say 1584. And so they have just gorgeous paper. This is their sketch pastel paper. So it says right here, sketch pastel, and it says for pencil, charcoal, crayons, pastel paintings. All right. It's 100% cotton, so you could actually do your finished artworks on here. This paper is so nice, but it is a pastel, meaning it has a little bit of a grit to the surface of it. Oh, you can see here I was messing around on the paper. So there's my kitty cat that I did on this paper. All right, let's take those out and set that aside. And then here is my a nice white sheet. Now, pastel papers, or papers that you would do pastel work on, or dry media, meaning I can use the pencil, I can use the charcoal. This on this end is called a Conte crayon, that square. They're the graphite, and it's not really made for wet media, so I'm going to put my water out of the way for right now. We're just going to focus on the dry media to start, okay? And besides having a nice white surface to work on, you can also find pastel paper like this in assorted colors. So this Canson, I don't even know how you pronounce that, me-tints, I think, something like that. What's nice is it comes in a pad of assorted colors. So you can do artwork. Here was some just scribbling I was doing in here, testing out something. And you can see that oftentimes your artwork looks different when you do it on a colored background instead of doing it on a white background. But to start with, we're going to use the white background, okay? And I like to use my reference photos. So let's take a couple of these chicken photos, and I'm just going to put them right up here. So I have them. Let's see, maybe I can do it so that you can see it as well. Yes. Awesome. All right, good. You can also see the chickens in the picture. And let me see if I can adjust this just a tiny bit. Yeah, there we go. Nice. All right. So when I really want to get loose, I start with charcoal. And so that's what this is. It's just a round piece of charcoal. This is a holder that I got from Critter Chops on Whatnot. It's nice because you don't have to hold the charcoal in your hand, and that way you can keep your hands clean, although my hands are already dirty. It doesn't take me long to get my hands dirty. So what I encourage you to do is when you're first sketching, whether you're sketching in your sketchbook or on a beautiful piece of paper like this, just stay loose. So you see how my hand, I'm holding it in a little bit different way. I'm holding it the way that an artist would hold the the charcoal instead of holding it like a pencil like this. Now, if you're more comfortable doing it as a pencil, knock yourself out. But I find that if you really want to stay loose, you're going to hold your implements in a different way. And so let's do this chicken first over here because it's looking in that direction, right? So let me, I'm going to start with its tail over here so I don't go too far off the page. And you're just going to be very loose. You saw how loose Jody Lynn Lee was, right? She was super loose with what she was doing. Okay, and then this is going to come over here and up, and then in. We've got a little beak right here. They have teeny tiny little beaks for being, having lots of feathers. Okay, there's a tiny bit of a comb right here, just a little comb on her. And then there's this red area around their eye. And here we're going to bring this down like this. And then there's another part right there. Okay, so that's this part first. And then there is another big part of a wing here, and another part of a wing here, and some fluff down here. So I'm sort of breaking her up into little sections, right? And then we're going to bring down from here like this, and then we're going to go like this. So there she is. That's the basic drawing of her. Now, I love the legs. I love the little legs here. So let's draw this one, which comes down, out, over, another over. So you see what I mean about charcoal? You're not going to get precise lines when you're working with the charcoal, and I love that. I love that. I want it to be loose. And then there's another toe, a couple of toes back here. And then we've got some black. We have some extra black in here. The nice thing about charcoals, you can lay in your blacks very quickly. And we have black all along here. So let's just do little bits to get the idea of what's going on here. Okay, now, if I want to, I can take something called a blending stump. And I can bring that blending stump in and blend some of these colors out. So for instance, underneath the chicken here, there's some darkness. So I'm going to use the blending stump and I'm going to blend some of this color up so that I've got a little bit of darkness underneath here. This is just to give you an idea of the where your shadows are. There's a little bit of a shadow over here. There's some shadowing in here. Of course, we've got the big feathers in here. And then I'm going to do a little bit of shadowing here to make these feel more like feathers. And then put a little bit of feathering around the eye here. I love using blending stumps, and blending stumps come in different sizes also. So this is a larger blending stump, but if you wanted to, you could get into a more detail with a much smaller blending stump. Now, a blending stump has two ends to it like this. If it were wrapped paper, half the size, and it was only one end, they call that a tortillion, but it does the same thing. Okay, so this little one, I would say that part of it is done. And you might have noticed I just blew on it because there was some of the charcoal that it comes off. But it's pretty funny looking. Doesn't look exactly like this chicken, right? But the idea is, okay, it's looking like the screen is stuck. So hold on just a moment. Okay. So, I mean, if you look at this picture, okay, that's a real chicken. That's what it looks like. But I'm not doing this for realism. I'm doing it for getting the essence of a chicken. If you looked at that, would you know that it was a bird? Yes. Would you know that it was a chicken? I don't know. But practice, 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 right? So let's do, instead of using the charcoal on the next one, let's use um, this big graphite pencil. Now this is by Lyra, made in Germany, and it's a 9B. So pencils come in different softnesses and hardnesses. So if it's a B, like this is a 9B, then that means that it's a soft graphite. If it's an H, then that means that, like for instance, HB is a neutral. And then you're going to get 2H, which is like your typical writing pencil that you would do your testing in when you were a kid in school. That's a 2H pencil. And then, so this is a 9B. It goes, I've seen them up to 12B, which means super soft. And then I don't use the hard pencils, so I don't know what the hard pencils go to. I prefer the soft ones that you can smudge. So for instance, if I put some of it here, I can actually get it to smudge because it's a very soft graphite pencil. The difference is when I use charcoal, it comes out much more black. And when I use graphite, it comes out a little bit gray looking. So let's do this chicken right here that's looking in that direction. And I'm going to put it down below here. So it has this, let's do the tail first because I want to make sure that it's not going to go off of the page there. We want the head. Actually, I'm going to start with the head first. So the head has these incredible like this incredible tuft of feathers at the top that looks like hair. Amazing. Okay. And then her eye is like this right here. And then we have a little beak coming here. The beaks generally have two parts to them. And then we have a little flap down here and another flap down there. Let's do this. Oh, she looks so funny. So funny with that hair. Okay, so that's so far the face. And then from the face comes down here for the chest. And then we're going to go back here off the tuft of hair like this. And then the tail is coming up here like this. And there are a few feathers here. And then it comes down. And then her back comes this way. And like that. So I'm not getting, because of where she's positioned on the page, I'm not getting all of this down here for the legs. But we can put some of that shading in there. A little bit of shading there, a little bit of shading here. There's a little bit of shading back here on the tail. So the idea is just to get a little bit of a feel for what does the chicken look like. And the hair comes down like this. Now, if I had a little more room, I could put the legs down here, but I am not worried about that at all. Let's get this hair. It's interesting because some of these chickens, their feathers almost look like a cascade of hair coming down. Isn't that funny? Okay, so let's take a little bit of, you know what, let's do one more with the pencil. So this is something called a forever pencil. instead of using graphite, it uses something else on the tip of it. And actually these tips unscrew. And even though it's called a forever pencil, it can still wear down. So you can unscrew the top like this and then screw in a new one. It came with a second one, and I got this from Critter Chops as well. So this is more of a typical pencil. If you look, see the 9B was very dark, and then this one is more light gray. Okay, so but it's a thinner line. So let's see what happens with this one. These are walking, so they're going to take up too much room. Let's try this one right here. This one. And we're going to make it a little bit smaller. See, I always have trouble making them small. Small. I want to get loose and I want to work bigger. When I was at the Boca Museum Art School, what we would do is when we were doing sketching and drawing classes, we would get out a massive piece of 18 by 24 inch, what's called newsprint paper. And that's what we would do our loose sketching on. And it's a very large piece of paper. So I'm used to getting my whole arm involved with sketching and not like a 9 by 12 piece of paper here. But let's see if we can draw this one on here. Let's get her tail out here and bring some of the feathers down this way. So this wants to be a little more precise just by the nature of the pencil having a smaller line. There we go. And then we're going to bring the neck up here. And this part of the face, like this. And that one's actually a little smaller. Now, if I wanted to, I could come in with an eraser. And actually, one of my favorite erasers, let me see if I can find it here. Where are you? One of my favorite erasers is this Mono Zero, it's called. So it has this teeny tiny little tip to it. And I love that because you can get a little more precise in your erasing if that's what you're looking for. Okay. And then we've got the beak coming out here. Like this. And then the comb coming up. I just love the combs on these chickens. They're so cute. Let's bring this back down. And they have this little, chickens have this little nostril right here on their beak. Okay, we're bringing this down this way. The eye is over here. They have little teeny eyes for this, but then they also have little teeny heads, I noticed. Okay, and we're going to come down like this. Oh, big wings and a nice big chest here. So this chicken, it comes down almost into a V down here. Now notice I'm not worrying that I'm going over top of the other chickens because we're just doing sketching right now. And I like to do sketching to start with because sketching allows you to get what's called muscle memory. So as I'm moving my pencil and observing my subject, I'm developing a muscle memory that later I won't even need to look at a picture, but I'll know the general shape of a chicken. In the beginning, I find I need to look at pictures, but later I'll just be doing it sight unseen. Okay, let's do this because this is coming up. This is going to come down. And we're going to have our legs down here. So let's put this one here. And we've got 1, 2, 3, and a little one in the back for their feet. And another one here. We've got the one in the back. One off to the side. Here, here. Like that. Okay. Let's bring this over this way just a little bit more. All right, so that's sketching with your different media. So that's the using the charcoal and then using a large graphite pencil. This whole pencil is graphite. There's just a tiny little bit of paper on there. And then this one would be like using a regular pencil. Now you'll notice my hands have a whole bunch of charcoal all over them. Plus there's charcoal all over the artwork here. There's something called a kneaded eraser. When you're working with charcoal, you're going to want to use a kneaded eraser. And a kneaded eraser is like a putty. And you can take that putty and shape it and form it and pick up the little bits here. Because I find that if you try to, it doesn't always work using a one of these white erasers. Although this paper seems to be really good at letting you erase. And of course, if I wanted to get more precise, I would use my little tiny Tombow Mono here. Okay. Now you see how I just hit the foot and a whole bunch more came off? So there's something called fixative that when you're working with dry media like this, if you want to fix the dry media to your surface, you can just hit it with a light spray of your dry media fixative, and that will help to hold it in place before you go to the next step. Now, as I said, I tend to get very dirty when I'm working with pastels. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put on some gloves so that I don't get too crazy and have to jump up and go to the sink and clean my hands. I'll be able to just throw my gloves away. Okay, so I'm going to be working with a couple of different kinds of pastels here. The reason that, for instance, Jody Lynn Lee uses pastels, and I enjoy pastels as well. These are called dry pastels. This set is from Sennelier. If you're starting out, I suggest that you find yourself a good quality, like the half sticks. So these are half sticks of pastel. And that way you can explore and enjoy working with the pastels to start with without spending a lot of money on the full size stick. Because imagine this is a half stick. So a full stick is twice that size, twice as long. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to put some fun colors in. And the pastels these are called dry pastels. They do get dusty. They do. And here, what's nice about using the dry pastels is you can very quickly put your color down. And if you're just doing color exploration, they're fun. So this is just a makeup sponge, and I'm going to use that to push it into the surface a little bit here, which you don't have to do. I'm starting to get dust. Now, what's recommended is if you have dust, here is a paper towel. I'm going to put a paper towel down here, and then you take it and you do that, okay? And that helps to get some of that dust out of there. Another thing that I do is I take a paper towel, the rough side of a paper towel. So these are my favorite cloth-like Viva paper towels. There's a smooth side and a rough side. I just take that rough side and I just touch it like that, and you'll see that it pulled up some of the color there. So that also helps to remove some of the dust. All right, and let's see, I want to put a little bit more orange in there, just for the heck of it, because this is your time to play and explore. Ooh, here's a nice color right here. Now, you'll find often my pastels have a flat side to them, and that's because instead of using the top part here to draw like you normally would with a pencil, you can cover larger areas with a pastel by doing it on its side like this. Okay, so I could cover a large area like that. Now here is, let's get sort of progressively darker down here with this one. And then this really pretty warm brown down here. So I can do strokes if I want to, or I can just use it on its side if I want to cover a large area. And then, so the nice thing about using pastels is you can do multiples of your image and then try different color combinations, and it's super quick to do when you're using pastels. Here, I'm gonna just use my gloved finger to blend the colors in a little bit. There we go. Fun. Hello, girl. And then, of course, now, see, I'm just using my paper towel here. The beak is going to be yellow. So I'm just going to put a little bit of yellow there on the beak. And the feet. Remember to put yellow on the feet. The feet are going to be a little bit more of this color yellow. Quick, 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 right? So you can see the advantage of if you're in a sketchbook, doing something like this to quickly get your ideas down. There's no delay between your idea and your hand making it happen. Okay, now I'm going to do this again. There we go. And I want to put a little bit of sky in. So why don't we do something fun around the ground here? So I've got this interesting looking color. Yeah, a bold color. So green. There's an olive green here. So don't be afraid to combine them a little bit there. And then let's do some sky. So here's the lightest of the blues. Now, if I want a really light blue, actually there's a really light blue right here. So I'll just put the really light blue next to the chicken. And then normally the sky will get darker as it goes up. So I'm going to put down some white here because I'm actually going to combine the white with the blue right on the surface. So there was the white, and I'm going to put a little bit of blue, but this blue is going to come out a little bit lighter because I put some white down first. Okay, and let's combine the two together. There you go. That was fun. All right, so those are ways that you can experiment with what's called dry pastel. Now let's do some oil pastel. Again, on this pastel paper, I'm going to put these away. Thank you, Sennelier. And I used a pastel paper for this because I wanted the paper to have a little bit of body to it so it would grip that color. All right, let's do this again on a paper towel like this. Now what's going to happen is you're going to see a bunch of color on there, and that's what fell off of there. Normally when I'm doing pastel, I'm on a up like this. I'm working up, so a lot of it automatically falls down as I'm working on it anyway. Now if I had color where I didn't want it and I had my kneaded eraser out, I was looking around for my kneaded eraser and I don't know where the heck it's in the other room. But what you could do is use your kneaded eraser and pick up that color if it got somewhere where you didn't want it to be. It's very easy to pick up the soft pastel color with the kneaded eraser. So now let's work with the Stabilo Woodies. Do y'all remember these? I've done workshops before where we use these Stabilo Woodies, which is a water-soluble crayon, to have some fun with coloring. So this one was really pretty. And I'm going to do something unusual. I'm going to take some pink and I'm just going to, the nice thing about the Woody is that you can use it like a pencil because it is shaped just like a pencil, but it's also nice and chunky. And so it was originally designed for kids, but us artists took them over and started using them. Okay, so that's some pink. This is a kind of a peachy color. Let's throw some of the peach in there. Now, if I were working on a watercolor paper, I could use a brush and I could combine these colors together right on the surface. But because I'm working on pastel paper, it's designed for dry media, and I am not going to be taking water to these, but that's okay. You can use them this way as well. Let's use the bright yellow here on the beak. So another quick way to get your color onto your surface that's fun is using this. Now I'm going to put a little bit of yellow in here because I'm going to be coming back with red. Red. So here's my red. And the two colors will combine on the surface. And then of course there's red around the eye here. Oh, so cute. She's so cute. Isn't that funny how this one had hair on top instead of having a comb on top? See there? So it had that funky hair, feather hair, pompadour, instead of having the comb. All right, and then what other colors do I want to bring in there? There are, these woodies are available in 18 colors. So it is a limited color palette, but that's okay. All right, I'm going to put a little bit of white. I'm going to do some color combining here. So I'm going to put some white down first. And then I'm going to bring my my brown in. And here's a brown. Now I'm going to go kind of lightly on the brown. And you can blend the colors a little bit. They don't let you, these don't blend a lot. The next type of oil pastel I'm going to show you blends more. It'll blend better. Okay, let's see, that's black. We don't want black. Let's do some more of this pale yellow here. It's just so cute. But this is your opportunity to play. If I wanted to put purple in on it, I could do that now. Let's say that we're going to do purple feathers on the back end. Why not? Because it's our drawing and we can do whatever we want, right? So I use the purple there. Let's put a little bit of brown in with the purple to have a shadow. And a little more brown back here. There you go. And remember, we've got the legs are coming down this way. And this one is going to have the leg coming this way. Okay, there we go. So a little crazy out of the box. Again, this is just about play. It's okay. Give yourself permission to play when you are sketching. Now, here is gold. So yes, there's a gold and a silver that come with these. You can find these woodies, the various sets, on my website under that supply links menu item, okay? So I like this gold. Maybe I'll put a little bit of gold in here so I can get a little bit of sparkle. A little bit of sparkle. She's going to sparkle for us. There we go. Just for something different. Right. So like I said, this is an opportunity for you to play with different colors. Ooh, look at this minty green. Let's put some minty green down here for the background. Why not? Why not? I love that mint green because they're always running around the yard, eating insects and goodies out of the yard. Okay, and then a little bit of the darker green in the foreground. There we go. So that's another type of oil pastel. These happen to be water soluble oil pastels. Okay. And they are, so it's limited in terms of how much you can use your fingers to smush them. Okay, let's put those away. And then the last kind is going to be what we call oil pastels, but these are not water soluble oil pastels. These are what are called regular oil pastels. And these happen to be my collection of Sennelier oil pastels. Now, let me bring it up for you. So these are super creamy. Let's see, this is like a blue in the background. And I have seen when Jody Lynn Lee is doing some of her sketching, she does throw in some of these oil pastels periodically. Um, let's see, I'm just making sure I'm not missing any messages. So they're super creamy. They cover an area very quickly. Oh, they're just yummy, yummy, yummy. And there are many different brands of oil pastels. And oil pastels, just like soft pastels, which is what these were, they go from extra soft, soft, medium, hard, extra hard. Okay, so there are different layers at which you want to use your different softnesses. The Sennelier tends to be rather soft. But I like that. I like that in an oil pastel. I like the softness of it. Okay, here we go. Now, you can see the top of it is sort of squared off. And when they first come and they're brand new, they're kind of more like this, bullet shape on the tip. And so once they start to get like this, flat on top, it's a little difficult to get the color exactly where you want it. But you know what? That's the whole point. We are experimenting, so that just does not matter, does it? Here's some more of that purple. We're going to throw some purple in for the shadows here. Some dark purple. All right, now this type of pastel, you can smush it very well with your finger. So here's my finger, and you're going to see, if you want to, you can smush it, and you can smush the colors together as well to blend the colors. So let's put some pink down in here for the heck of it. It's sort of a peachy pink, right? So if I wanted to, I could do this and get the colors to blend a little bit together. Let's see, the legs. The legs need to be this kind of sunflower color, right? So we've got one leg over here, another leg over here. There we go. And everyone on the back end. That's a nice looking brown. Well, let's do this brown here. These are so creamy. I love how creamy they are. And then what if we have a little bit of that here as well? Kind of going like that. We need a red, don't we? So what I've done is I've separated mine into pinks and purples, greens here, blues here, browns, and then this is my yellows and reds over here. Oh no, I'm sorry, the reds are over here with the purples. But these are all my different peachy colors. What is this red doing in there then? It belongs over here. And this other red belongs over there. Oh, this is orange, that's why. So I put the orange in there. Over here, you might notice there's this big one that just looks like wax. This is a blender. So if I wanted to blend colors together, I could come in with the blender over top of them or underneath them, and then that will help the oil pastel to blend better. All right, let's put this blue one over here. I've got some metallics in here too, so a silver and a gold. So let's, oh, this is kind of a bronze. Let's put the bronze right here just to make it a little sparkly. There you go. And then let's go to the back feathers. I'm going to do something a little more brown, a little darker brown, and something even darker than that. This is an even darker brown. So you can build up your layers just like you would with any other kind of paint. And I'm going to do something like this, just to bring them together. Again, this is something that you can do. You can take your time and be meticulous. And there are people that do amazing oil pastel paintings. Wow, amazing. In this case, I'm just using it to get an idea of some colors to go on there. Let's find a different red. Ooh. Okay, let's use the brighter red right here. There we go. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Quick and easy. Do that right there. And then do just a little bit more, a little darker in the background there. All right, and then around the eye there, we want something that's a little bit lighter. Lighter. Do you want to go pink? Why not? Something peachy pink, just for the heck of it. Okay. And then the final sort of peachy pink in there. Okay. So that is working with a pastel type paper. And I could have gone in with a stump, a blending stump. Now this blending stump has lots of black on it. So normally you would take a little piece of sandpaper. Oh, let me get some sandpaper here. Whenever you buy one of those little pastel sets that'll have these blending stumps, it'll also come with a little piece of sandpaper on a paddle. And that is so that you can do this. This is a sandpaper block, but that's so that you can do this and wear down the paper that's there and get that color that's on the outside off of it and make it fresh again so that you can go back in over top of your painting and do some more blending. Okay, so that took a layer off. Make sure that all the color's off of there. And then I could come back in here with this and I could do some more blending. So you don't have to use your fingers to blend. You can come in with your blending stump and blend with your blending stump. And then you just clean it off like this, or you clean it off on here like this. Okay, so that was using my pastel paper and 3 different types of pastels: the water-soluble pastels, the oil pastels, and the dry pastels. Now let's go ahead and work on some watercolor paper. And we're going to do the watercolor version of, why don't we do a rooster? I think the roosters are so pretty. And I think we can do it in this direction because the roosters are kind of long and drawn out, right? And we're going to be working with watercolors, so we're not going to need to worry about the falling off of the dust or anything like that here. And I can take my gloves off now because we're just going to be dealing with pencil and watercolor. So here are our roosters. Um, Beautiful, right? Beautiful. I think I'm going to do this rooster over here because I like that comb on the rooster is, quite large, and I like that. So we're going to put that there. Let's move the uh, pastels out of the way. And we're actually going to be using this is called Koi watercolors. And it's a travel set of 24. 24 colors. These are called cakes. These are little watercolor cakes. And I've shown on this channel many different kinds of watercolors. And this just happens to be an easy one to use to showcase this kind of technique. And what's nice about it is they give you lots of room here to mix and blend your colors. Plus, depending on whether you're going to hold this in your left hand or in your right hand, you can put this on this side or on this side, whichever works better for your being right-handed or left-handed. This is the Koi Watercolors 24 set. And then I also brought out to show you and to pop some color in this Gansai Tombi starry colors because I like glitter in my artwork. And so this has several different types of gold and then a clear, like just a white. So we're going to set those aside for now because the first thing we have to do is we have to draw out our rooster. So let me make sure this is in frame for you. Yep, and the picture of the rooster there. Let me move this box out of the way. Okay, so we've got the rooster. The first thing we're going to do, of course, is draw the rooster on here. And I'm going to draw it loose using the big graphite. Ooh, actually, there's something else that I wanted to show you that I haven't used yet. And that is because it's wet. And so I couldn't use, this is I just got this week along with my Japanese watercolors. And it is a Japanese brush pen. And it has permanent ink in it. So let me pull the lid off so I could show you. You see the nib right there? You see the tip? That's a brush tip. So this is permanent ink, and you can use this to do your outline drawing as well. So that's what I did here that I showed earlier. I used this pen to do the outlines and then colored it in with watercolor. So you can either do that or you can use the graphite to do it. So I like using this brush pen when I'm working on watercolor paper. Oh, and I did tell you before, I was going to show you which kind of watercolor paper we're working on. So this is my favorite, like studio watercolor. It's the Canson XL watercolor. This is the 9x12 pad. The key is 140 pounds. So you want a paper that's nice and heavy that can take some water. And so that's the 140 pound paper. We'll do that. And I am seeing some color from the dry media. I want to get off of there before we get started. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to do my outline with this pen, just for the heck of it. And we will see. I like to live dangerously. Now, usually what I'll do is I will warm up. So this is just a piece of watercolor paper from one of the previous workshops that we did. And I want to make sure that this ink is flowing out of the tip. So I just grab a random piece and make sure, yes, that I am getting a nice flow. Now, this flow looks like a nice solid line. and this flow looks like a dry line, and that means I need to squeeze the barrel just a little bit. There's ink in this barrel, and that will bring more paint down into the bristles. So a little bit more, just squeezing. So I'm turning so I can get more of the ink down into the bristle. Yeah, there we go. Now it's it's called charged. So I've charged the tip with the color. All right, here we go, Rooster. Rooster. I'm going to start over here with the head, with the comb at the top. So I'm looking at my picture and kind of getting a feel for what the comb looks like. And then we've got and there's going to be that little nostril right there. And back behind there, we've got the eye right here. They have such small eyes. Okay, there we go. He looks quite regal already. We've got some feathers here. We're going to have this and another like that. Okay. And then from here down the back, we have that beautiful cascade that looks like hair. It doesn't look like feathers. It's amazing. And then like this. And here we're going to come this way with his chest kind of all puffed out there and down. We've got one foot coming this way. And then we've got another foot. Now, let me just do this because the other foot is behind. This one is behind. So that's why I'm drawing the belly. And then this one comes behind her, like this. We're going to bring this leg down. And this one's going to come down. There we go. So that's that part so far. We've got a wing that's coming from way back here. And it's coming up, 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 like that. And then we've got this beautiful big tail coming off here. So this is one feather like this. And then there's another feather that comes way out here. And then we have some more that fall off of that area. Nice. What I'm doing here is getting an idea. I don't have to get exact because I'm going to be coming in with color. So there's what he looks like. And we're just getting a feel for the feathers, but the feathers don't have to be perfect. And here we've got some cascading off of here as well. Some smaller feathers that cascade over the back. Oh, he's so regal. So regal. Here we've got some feathers coming this way. There we go. And then some interesting feathers in here that are blue. And then we just got this. Let's connect that up. Oh, look at him. He's so cute. And I didn't put all the feathers in here because I can do that with my brush with watercolors as I'm putting the watercolors in. I'm just trying to get an idea, a feel for what he looks like and what the feathers are doing. There we go. And here, of course, we've got some feathers that come down this way and come down here. There we go. So that is the basic drawing, and I just used my permanent pen. So this is the Kuretake is the name of the company. It's a Japanese company, and it is their ink pen number, their brush pen number 22. So that will be linked in the description of the video on YouTube after the video is over. All right, there we go. And so I can follow these colors that are on this picture or not. It doesn't matter. But let's go ahead and I actually kind of like some of the colors that are over here. And this one's just very fiery. I've got blue here. I've got green here. I've got the red, of course. I've got a yellow red down here. So there is just a lot going on. And let's get our watercolor going here. Now I am right-handed, so I'm going to put my water over here to the right side. Let's move him over like that. And I'm going to use my favorite watercolor brush, which is the Princeton, there you go, Princeton Velvet Touch. I like the feel of the Velvet Touch. I don't know what Princeton does to the finish, but it has this beautiful soft finish. And the reason that I like the Velvet Touch is that the tip of the brush comes to a point. So that's the Velvet Touch. There's another also Princeton. This is the Princeton Heritage. And what you'll notice with the Heritage is that the top is rounded. So if I'm doing leaves or I'm doing petals of flowers, I like to use the Heritage because it has a rounded tip. But if I'm doing something like this, where I might want to be more precise, especially in the comb up here on this rooster, then I want a tip that when I put the water in it here, hold on, you'll be able to see even better. There's quite a sharp tip on that, so I can get more precise. So let's, I generally use 2 waters when I am doing watercolor, and one is to get the majority of the paint off, and to just use a clear water for that. Hold on just a second. I'm trying to, there we go. No, turn off. My headset just ran out, so I have turned off my air conditioner, so I only have the fan on. You don't have to hear the air conditioner rumbling in the background there. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to, since I'm right-handed, I'm going to start over here on the left and work my way over to the face details. Okay, so we're going to start here with, and I always have a paper towel handy, because what'll happen is when you rinse your brushes off, you end up getting water on this metal part here called the ferrule. And what'll happen is, as you're painting, a water drop will come down that ferrule and end up in your brush and then ruin whatever you're working on. You don't want that. So I generally clean that off. Now the back tail is a dark color, but it also has green. So I'm going to start with I generally start with my lightest colors of the series. So there's a light green, right there, a light green. So I'm going to drop in some of that light green. And right now it looks crazy. You're going to go, Tristina, come on. The green is like too light. But you'll see. It's fine. It's fine. There we go. So I'm just dropping in some of that green color in there. All right, because that's going to be the undertone as we add more dark colors on top. Okay, next we're going to have over in here where these feathers are coming down, we're going to have some, it looks like a light blue. So I'm going to grab my light blue here, And I'm just going to drop in a little bit of this crazy, it looks like a turquoise. Yikes. And I'm going to bring some of that turquoise into the green that's back here so that it brings it together. As I move through the painting, I'm constantly bringing the colors together, and so that they overlap one another a little bit. Okay, so that's the blue there. And then we've also got a beautiful fiery red. Let's start more in the orangey yellow range. So right there, that's like a cadmium yellow or a cadmium orange light. Now I'm noticing right here, there's a little bit of water on the ferrule, so I'm going to take that off so it doesn't accidentally drip down into here. Okay. So I'm bringing some of that orange. What you have to be careful of is this yellow tends toward orange. So there's like a lemon yellow, a yellow ochre, and then a cadmium yellow, and then it goes right into oranges in this set. So you have to be careful because when you're color mixing blue and orange, you can get browns, you can get mud. So I don't want to overlap that yellow with that blue too much because this yellow tends a little bit toward an orange. All right, let's bring some more of that into here. So we're going to assume that the sun is glinting off the back of this rooster, and so we're going to want some of those beautiful fiery kind of yellows up here. It's okay to go over the lines. Don't worry, don't worry. Okay, lovely. Now, again, I'm going to dip my water into the dirty water first, and then into the clean water. And that'll give me a beautiful clean water in the tip of this brush. All right, what do we have next? We have some reds down here. So let's go with, instead of red, I'm going to pick up orange. I'm going to start with an orange underneath. So this is actual orange as opposed to the cadmium yellow. Okay. I don't want it going into this little area over here because on this rooster, that area is blue. So I don't want the orange going into the area where the blue is going to be because otherwise I'll get mud when those two colors mix together. Let's do a little bit more of the orange there. Okay. Cool. Nice. Now, what do we have underneath? And let me bring this up closer so you can see where we are. So you see, these are our base colors. Okay, we're going to build other colors on top of there. So we start with the lighter, with watercolor like this, we start with the lighter colors and then we move into the darker colors. Okay, what else do we have here? We have a little bit of brown underneath, on the underneath part. So let's go with a light brown right here. Nice. So we're going to start with the light version. There we go. And then we're going to move. Let's get some more of that light brown in here. Okay. Start with those light colors, and then the exciting thing is it has some blue right in here. It's actually blue in this area and then red up in this area. So let's go back to that light blue again. And I'm putting strokes in so that it looks like little feathers. Okay. And I don't have to be exactly on the line, right? just somewhere in general in that area. All right. And then in this area around it, there's some red. So let's start with the lighter red. Here. And I'll just start to bring some of that light red into here. It's okay if some of the red combines with the blue, because red and blue just makes purple, right? So we're okay if the red and the purple, or the red and the blue, combine and give us some purple. That's fine. That's fine. That'll work well. And we'll start to see some more of it come over here. I love this little tip because I can get these little marks for the feathers. Okay, I'm going to bring it up to you again so you can see where we are. So we've got the blue here because he has some blue right there. And then there are red feathers here. And then there's golden feathers here. So we're going to put some red in the background, but later I'm going to come back in with some gold right in there. Okay, let's see here. Oh. And the next thing we want to do is the hair that's up here. I keep calling it hair. It's feathers, but man, it looks just like hair. We're going to do some orange in the background here because this very much looks orange. And I'm doing longer strokes from up here because you'll notice that the feathers are quite long. They're like long and stringy in this area. It's like they have a mane. The roosters appear to have a mane. They're just beautiful. Beautiful creatures. Okay, let's bring this down like this, just a little bit more. There we go. All right. And then back in here, we had the blue, but we also have some of that red. Hey, Critter Chops. Welcome in. Welcome in. I was mentioning your name earlier, of course, when I was showing off this this piece that I was using to hold the charcoal from what I was doing earlier. And of course, the Forever pencil. I was showing how to use those when I was working on the dry media paper. But right now we're working on watercolor paper. And I started out doing the outline with a permanent Asian pen here, permanent black ink. And now we're building up from our lightest colors in the background on this rooster forward to the darkest colors with watercolor. Okay, so let's see. We need some more red over here. So if I put, let me show you if I just do a little color mixing here so that you can see what happens when I combine blue and orange. So here's the blue right here. I'll put a little bit of that blue on there. That's the blue that's right here. So we've got blue. And then if I put the orange in with it, a little bit of color theory here. What you're getting is sort of a very, that looks like an ochre. So it makes the color very muted. All right, when you combine oranges and blues. So let's put some of that over top of the blue here. Again, in this back area, they have those same really cascading, amazing cascading feathers. Okay, so I'm using the ochre, which is that orange combined with that same blue. So they will speak nicely to each other. There we go. All right, So we're beginning to darken this area a little bit. And let's go back to the tail where it's very, I'm going to show you the cool thing about roosters is when the light glints off of their dark feathers, you see these undertone colors. So here you see the green, and this is where you were seeing the blue, right? So let's go ahead and put that back up there. And we'll continue. Can you see them? Yes, you can. Okay, good. Making sure you could see it. All right. So next we're going to add a little bit more dark in where these feathers are here. So I have a bunch of different greens, and this is actually, I think, a really dark blue. Yes, this is a dark blue-green right here. So, yes. So I want to pull that color in for the tail. Kind of combine it with some of that green, right? It's okay to double dip. It's okay. And then we're going to bring this in. So we're just darkening a little here, a little there. We're actually going to end up much darker than that, but we want to build it up in layers. Okay, good, good, good. What I'm doing is flipping my brush so that I'm getting some fun end to the feather. Here, I'll bring it up closer so you can see. So I'm flicking the end of the brush there and getting some of that, what look like feathers coming off of there. The feathers don't have to be round on the end. All right, so that area will start to dry. We'll come back in later and we'll make it even darker. Let's do this here. Let's see, what colors do we want next? I'm going to bring some red into here. So I'm going to go with this bright red and layer it on top there. So we've got the kind of ochre color, we've got the blue undertone, we've got some red coming in here. I don't want to cover up all the blue because when you actually look here, yes, there's red, but there's also some blue there. So I do want to leave some of that blue showing through. There we go. And I want it to look like some of that is coming over. There we go. So now we've got the blue, the ochre, and the red starting to go in here. This area that has the orange, we want to go back on top of that with some red because the feather right here is red. But I want to preserve some of that orange, so I'm not covering over all the orange. All right, so that's fun. Plus, it's even okay to leave some white, you know? You don't have to worry about covering the whole area. You can leave some of it white. Oh, now there's a little drip up here, so I'm going to use my dry paper towel and pick that up because I don't want it to, if you leave a drip on top of the watercolor, it'll start to kind of eat away at the watercolor and it will disperse the paint in that area. Okay, so now I actually want to bring a little bit more of the red, but I'm going to go with a little bit deeper color red now. This is the red we just used. Now I'm using this one. It's a little bit deeper. And I'm going to come in here on top of the other red and the blue. So remember I said there's only a little bit of blue peeking through here. The rest is red. The rest of those feathers. So I'm bringing that darker red in on top. And I'm just flicking the end of the brush to give the impression of small little feathers. And actually this red comes back this way. There we go. Okay. Now, I want to darken it a little bit more underneath here. So I'm going to come in with a little bit. Last time we used this brown. Now I'm going to go to the next brown, which is a sienna here, looks like. And again, I'm going to do my little strokes so that you can see the feathers. It's okay if they combine with some of the other ones that are there. Because sometimes when your paint is not fully dry, they will just, one color will blend right in with the next color. There we go. There's the brown. Oh, hello, brown. Now I'm going to bring some of that brown down into here. Well, the leg, the top part of the leg has feathers on it. It doesn't start to turn kind of a yellowy orange until down here. Okay. Let's bring a little bit of that brown also up into the chest area, the front of the chest. What you're going to see is here, the front of the chest is dark. So I'm going to bring some of that brown into that front area. Just right here. Like I said, it's okay if you go over top of those black lines. It's all right. There we go. Now we're going to be darkening that even a little bit more here shortly. But we have to let that layer dry before we come back in and darken it some more. Where else do we have some of this brown? We have a little bit of brown across the back here. So I'm just going to bring the brown. This brown right here is actually almost like a dark red. Hey, Salmon's girl, welcome in, welcome in. All right. And Salmon's girl, what we're doing is a rooster in this case. We did some chickens earlier using dry media, dry pastel, oil pastel. And now I'm showing how you're building up layers for this rooster right here, using a travel watercolor set and my Princeton Velvet Touch brush. Okay. I work from the lightest into the darkest. Now I am going to go ahead and put a little bit of the red up here on the face because I want to let that dry so that I can deepen it. And so we're actually going to start with a pretty deep red here because that comb has lots of red in it, doesn't it? Okay. Oof. What you'll find is with oftentimes with chickens and with roosters, the red goes all the way around their eye, actually. And sometimes also you'll find that the this comb falls down over top of their beak often as well. So Salmon's girl, have you ever had chickens or family members with chickens and roosters? Yep. I was saying earlier how my daughter in St. Petersburg here in Florida, within the city limits, you can have urban chickens. You have a limit on the number that you can have. Oh, you had chickens the whole time growing up. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. And so she and her husband um, had chickens. They had a chicken coop in their backyard there in St. Pete. And they had also a, what is that called? A compost area. They had the chicken coop. It was so much fun to go over there. And I've taken lots of pictures of their chickens for inspiration for doing painting. But I couldn't find them for today's workshop. So I just went on to Pixabay and I went on to Unsplash and I grabbed my these pictures. Yeah. Okay, cool. Nice bright red. Nice bright red. Let me show you up close. Every so often I like to bring them up close so you can see. So we're building up the layers. So now we have 2 layers here and I'm going to keep making that darker. This is starting to turn nice and dark here. And then you see how now the face is getting some personality. I did leave some white. So the area right up near the eye here, I didn't completely make it red. You'll see that the nice thing about the tip on this brush is that I'm able to be a little more precise. Oh, thank you, Salmon's girl. She said nice. And so I'm leaving some white because actually, if you look at the rooster, there is a little bit of white behind the eye there. And let's go ahead and pop the yellow in for the beak. Why not? Why not? So I put my brush in the dirty water and now in the clean water. So I have a clean brush and let's use this lemon yellow to start. If you'll notice, there's some green on the lemon yellow because I double dip all the time. So I'm going to clean that green off of there before I use the yellow. Let's do this. There we go. So I'm grabbing a lemon yellow. Remember, I like to use the lightest color first, and then I can go back in and deepen the color if I want to. So I'm just popping that in on the beak, avoiding that little black spot where the nostril is. But actually, I want to add a little bit of fire to this comb right here, just above the eye. So what I'm going to do is instead of the lemon yellow, I'm going to grab a little bit of the yellow, it's like a yellow ochre, and I'm just going to drop that in here and blend it a little bit to kind of give me an orangey, a little more fiery color instead of just red. There we go. It's subtle and it's something that you can see when you're actually looking at the painting, but when you're looking at it from far away, it's not going to read. But when you're up close, you'll be like, oh, there's a little bit of orange back in there. Okay, okay, okay. Now the area right behind the comb here is a little bit dark. So I'm going to grab a little bit of that reddish brown here. And I'm just going to drop a little bit of that in here because what that's going to do is it's going to create sort of a shadow back behind the comb, which is okay. It's okay to have a shadow behind the comb. There we go. So that's sort of going to define the area where around the head, give you a shadow behind the head. Okay, let's go ahead then and build out some more of this hair. Huh. The feathers that look like hair, right? Okay, so we have some light orange in there now. Let's get some of this mid-tone red in there. And we're going to just follow along with the way that the feathers, the long skinny feathers are going. They come down, they cascade down. All right. And then we're going to bring some into the brown here. Ooh, I like the cascade. I like the cascade. So there you go. You've got right back behind here, you have that little bit of brown for the shadow. And then we've got some cascading feathers there. And let's go back in. I want to get a little bit darker on my red right in the feather area. You know what? Before we do that, though, let's go back to the tail. So I want the tail to be a little bit darker. Let's grab a little bit of the darker. So we had this blue. There's a color here called Perylene Green. Let me show you what it looks like. And I love Perylene Green. It's this deep, 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 deep green. You see that? So I'm going to take a little bit of the Perylene Green and I'm going to add a little bit of that dark blue to it because I want the color to be a little deeper than just the dark blue. Okay, ooh, that's fun. So let's use that to come in here. I'm going to snap the color out. All right, let's grab a little bit more. Snap it out, snap it out. So we get some, we're getting that motion of the tail. Okay, there we go. Nice, the tail's beginning to get darker. Love it. There we go. And we're gonna snap it, snap it. So that we see the green from earlier, but we're building up some darkness over top of it. Okay, there you go. Up nice and close so you can see. Oh yeah, right? Right, right, right. There's a little bit of water in there. Let's do that. Now I really like that dark, dark, dark. That combination of the Perylene Green together with this blue. Okay, so let's use a little bit more of that. And I'm going to come in here, this back area. There's a transition between the red and the tail. So I'm just going to drop some of that darkness, extra darkness into here so that we can have those two areas talk to each other. All right. So we have the darkness showing. All right, cool. We're getting there on the tail. Almost. Almost. I might have to actually use a little bit of black on the tail. I try to avoid black. I don't use a lot of black in watercolor, but there are times when the black is helpful. All right, let's go a little bit more red up in here. So what we've got is we've got kind of a warm red, a little bit cooler, and a really cold red. So when I say cold, that means there's a lot of blue in this red. There you go. You see how it looks kind of cranberry-like? Kind of cranberry-like. I don't want it to be quite so cranberry, so I'm going to add a little bit of the warm red. And here there we go. So a nice bright color, but it's a little warmer than the cranberry. Okay, so now we're going to bring a little bit more in here. There we go. Oh, dude, you're so cute. All right. So that, that covers this little area right back here. Now I'm actually seeing some blue in here. How did I miss that? I don't know how I missed that. Okay, so we're going to add a little bit more of, I'm actually going to bring a dark blue in here. Dark blue, dark blue. And let's see what happens when I just throw a little bit of blue in here, because I missed it. How could I miss that? There's a little bit of a blue underneath that wing. Okay, cool. And it kind of comes up here to where it almost connects with this other blue right here, right? But what I'm using right now is a darker blue than the blue that's here. And I'm going to go even darker still. This is an ultramarine blue right here. So let's go even darker. Even darker. There we go. Woo! So we're just building these little tiny feathers on top of there. There we go. Interesting. Okay. I'm going to bring some of that dark, dark, dark blue into here too, so that these different areas talk to each other. All right, nice. Interesting, that blue on that rooster. Even the other rooster over here to the right has a bunch of blue under here and in the tail as well. Cool. All right, let's get just a little bit darker in here. Darker red, dark, 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 dark red. So let's see how this looks. Nice and dark, but I want to cool it off a little bit. I mean, warm it up, sorry, a little bit. So I'm actually going to add a little bit of this orange to it. Yeah. And then we're going to come back in here. We're going to add a little bit more of the dark, dark red. There we go. Because I want the red of these feathers to sort of stick out. Now, let's look at this part of the back right here. We need it to be a little bit darker. So I'm actually going to use the dark, kind of the red brown again. And I'm going to bring a little bit more of that into here. I did already put a little bit here, but I'm going to do this now. I'm going to bring a little bit more of it into there, because this particular area is a little darker. Just above that wing, right there. Now, I just had a hair fall out or something of the brush. Okay, there we go. So that darkened that area a little bit more. I'm going to go in, I see a little bit more blue over here, so I'm going to come in with just a little bit more blue, up just a little bit higher here. I'm bringing it in just a little bit higher. And that blue together with the red that's in there is going to make it look a little bit purple, which is fine. It's fine. Okay, let's get some darkness going. Now, I'm going to take just a little bit of this sort of orange. I don't want to have too much of it on my brush. So I'm going to show you, we're going to do something that's kind of like a dry brush. So I'm going to take a lot of the moisture out on my brush. I still want a little bit of color, but I wanted to take some of the moisture out. Okay, so just dabbing it on the paper towel. And I'm going to use the brush on the side, and I'm just going to scrape it across here, because there's a little too much white for my liking in the background, and I want to tie the colors together. So I'm just using a tiny bit of that orange to tie that all together and get rid of some of that white. Okay, so just kind of fill in a little bit of that white in the background there. All right. I'm getting water everywhere again. And now we need to work on the dark areas here and underneath here, as well as a little more darkness in the tail. Like I said, I want to do a little bit of black in the tail. But first, we're going to go to this dark brown. I'm going to show you the dark brown over here. So we went from a lighter brown to a red brown, and now we're going to a darker brown. And we're going to build up that brown just a little bit more under here. Just stroking to get in the direction of the feathers. And then I want to take a little bit of that and bring the feathers down here. So we had done just a little bit of that red brown down here for the feathers. And so now we're bringing in the darker brown. Nice. Now, to the side of that, there's an even darker brown called sepia. So here's the sepia. Or is that black? Hold on. Okay. The last one is black. It looks like this one is what they call Payne's Gray. So let's mix the Payne's Gray together with some of that brown. So we get a dark brown, grayish brown. Okay. And then we're just going to put that in the darkest areas here. Dark. And down in the hair underneath here. Because we've got shadows down here. So we want that to be the darkest underneath there, as well as over here. Especially right underneath that wing. It's going to be more dark under the wing. Nice. All right. Now you're talking. More dark. And let's go with the Payne's Gray. Payne's Gray is a dark color that the more water you use, the more blue tends to come out of it. Okay? That is a Payne's Gray color. So what we're going to do is I want this Payne's Gray. I'm going to mix the Payne's Gray with some of that color that I did earlier, which was the Perylene Green and the Ultramarine or Dark Blue. So now I have a little bit of that same undertone to the Payne's Gray. So let's do some of the darks. Dark feathers. There we go. Yes, now we're dropping in some darker ones. I'm actually going to pull that little bit of black in with it too. There. So now we're getting some darker plumage in the tail. And we're going to tie it together here. There we go. And we'll tie a little bit of that dark together here. And down in here. There we go. So that way there's some of that very dark here, and we've got the very dark in here. Now, let's do the legs. And the legs, woo, look at that. I didn't have all the colors out. This is nice to watch, and you've stopped me from my endless scrolling. That's what someone just said on YouTube. Thank you, Mashi, over on YouTube. Yes, I find it very soothing to watch painting, right? To watch somebody paint. All right, so down here, we're going to have this, it's not this lemon yellow, it's the next yellow here. Hey there, Butts. Over on Whatnot. Welcome in. Okay, so it is the, it's a little bit deeper yellow. It's not the lemon yellow. There we go. And so we're going to put that in there. Ooh, nice. Now, what I did before with my other rooster is I waited until it was fully dry in the legs, and I'll show you. I came back with this black pen, the permanent marker pen, brush pen, and I added the little lines here in the legs. You see those? Now, if you weren't here earlier, this painting, I just did a YouTube video that was released yesterday, and it is me doing this painting. But this painting is now available for sale on Whatnot. So if you are on Whatnot and you'd like to purchase it, make sure that you go to the show notes and put the coupon that's in the show notes in your wallet on Whatnot, and then purchase it if you would like to. That's the nice thing on Whatnot, is that my artwork is available in the buy now, that you can go peruse and purchase. Now I'm seeing that as normal. I have little dots of color that, as I was painting, the dots of color just spray out everywhere. So I actually have this special scrubber brush. It's a blender brush, also by Princeton in the Velvet Touch line. And it has a stiff set of bristles here. So I get that wet. Remember, I have two waters. I have my dirty water and then my clean water. So I'm going to dip that in the clean water here and dab off so I don't have too much water on it. And the nice thing is you can scrub out, because watercolor will relift. You can scrub out those colors. Now, what I'm going to do is use a piece of paper towel, make sure that it's white, and I'm going to lift up right there. And it doesn't completely get rid of it, but for the most part, see, like I'm looking in the camera there, and I don't even know if you could see it in the camera. So you can barely see it, which is great. Great. Now, what I want to do now is I want to put a bunch of green in the background, because look at all the green in the background here, right, of this rooster. And then we're going to do something called the bokeh effect. So let's go ahead and I'm going to use, for the green, I'm going to use this Asian brush, because it has a big fluffy natural hair head to it, and that will pick up a lot of paint. So let's do that. And let's put a bunch of paint here, the greens, a bunch of the green paint in here. Okay, so I'm going to get that. I want a whole lot of green. Come on, give me a bunch of green. The thing with the with this travel set is that the cakes are really tiny. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to show you the new watercolors that I just got. Where I did the video yesterday, or I released the video yesterday, and it's the Kuretake Japanese watercolors. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab, these are made to go with the Asian brushes. And so do you see here how big these these pans are? They're nice and big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a big pan like this, and that way I can pick up a lot more green with the Asian brush, right? So then I'm going to drop in a whole bunch of green in the background here. I don't need to be too careful about it. You'll see why in just a moment. Okay, let's pick up some more. And I'll pick up some more there as well. I'm going to leave lots of white space around the rooster. Let's get a little more water in there. Okay. The rooster's in some high grass here. High grass. Lots of pretty plants in the background around him. Okay, there we go. So we've got bunches and bunches of green in the background there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a dropper to drop some plain water on here. Hold on, let's get a little more. Oh, he's so cute. Let's just get sure there's good green around him. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to take a dropper. So a dropper like this, it's a plastic dropper. I'm going to put some of the almost clear water in there. And now I'm going to go around and I'm going to just put drops of water. So there's a drop of water there. What's going to happen is the water is going to push the paint away, and I'm going to pick it up with a paper towel here in just a moment. Let's move that out of the way so you can see clearly. I'm just dropping the water on there, letting it run around. Some people like to wait until it's dry to do this. I prefer to do it when the paint is still damp, because if you do it once the paint is dry, your spots don't spread as much. I'm going to focus more up here. So let's get a drop there, drop there. So this is going to give you what's called a bokeh effect. I'll show you in just a second here what that is. Okay. Ah, there we go. So that was just dropping plain water and using this. And now I want a clean paper towel. I don't want a dirty paper towel for this. I want a clean paper towel. So we're going to take our paper towel, and where we started making those spots, we're going to lift. In another area on the paper towel, lift, lift, lift. So when it lifts, it doesn't lift all of the color. It just lifts part of the color. And it gives you these interesting sort of dots. So areas. It just adds I find it adds a little bit of interest to the background. There we go. If for some reason you didn't like the dots, you would be able to just go back over it with another coat of paint, and that would even out the color. So let's lift, 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 lift. And make sure I'm lifting all around here. I keep turning it to a fresh spot like that. Okay. There we go. So now, normally what I would do is do one layer like this with the bokeh effect, which is these little areas here where I picked up the water. And then, again, working from light to dark, I would go in and add another layer of color, of the green color. And then I would do the bokeh effect again. And that way you get 2, 3, 4 different bokeh effects within the same painting. All right, so that is it for the workshop. If